and YouTube, and welcome to the house. The market has huge swings today, and it's going to continue throughout the day as YCS Atlanta deck list pop up, as the results pop up. But from what I'm being told now, about half the top cut is Pendulum Magician, so that's just crazy insane, and things happened last night before the top cut was even decided. So let's get into the first thing here that has nothing to do with the meta, of course. TOON Kingdom and Mech Knights are getting reprints in the upcoming Duelist pack, and this is pretty exciting. Many people have been waiting a long time to get their hands on these cards without a insane price point, and it seems we'll finally get that. First off, I want to say if you pack those commons, keep them. They're probably going to be worth a little bit. They're going to be pretty good commons over time until the next reprint of them, which may not happen for a long time. TOON Kingdom was holding a $40 market price. We see one lister already going for $30 as no one else has caught on, and it's still about the $40 market price. This Duelist pack is going to tank these prices. We've seen it on Eye of Timaeus, etc. We'll see this probably fall towards the 15 mark, if not the $10 mark later. Mech Knights especially will head back down towards that $10 mark. It wasn't too long ago where it had an okay market price before a buyout, and it just stayed up after that. So hopefully we see both of these get decent prices if you really want to get your hands on those holographic versions. But we see over here some cheaper listings starting to pop up on eBay too, slowly moving from the news, but nothing too much cheaper on Mech Knights. So if you were in the market for these, you were saving up for these, you were $5 a week of allowance towards these, just chill, just take your time, and you're gonna have your common versions instead, or cheaper variants of these. These will get cheaper with time. Next up, the Melody of Awakening Dragon. This is kind of some news-based stuff, is going up. I did shout it out in the previous Market Watch because of the Dark Structure deck. A lot of people were associating it with that, and we have 4 versions with very low quantities, but there's another reason for this, as the King of D has been announced. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But he's a level 4 Dark Spellcaster effect monster, so he works with Allure. It's pretty nice that it fits in the deck, and he does this. This card's name becomes Lord of D while on the field. When this card is normal summoned, you can discard 1 spell or trap card. Remember, you also have cards that help you get to trap cards. Add 1 Flute of Summoning Dragon, Melody of Awakening Dragon, or Dragon Revival Rhapsody from your deck to your hand. The Melody of Awakening Dragon being searchable by a dark monster? That's pretty good. So I'm pretty excited to see that there's even more synergy with the deck, him being dark, but such as his predecessor, of course. But it's nice. He's got that Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon guitar as well. Let me see if I can blow that up a little. Yeah, he's got a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon guitar. It's just awesome. And I think he might be able to find ways to get teched in here, but he's a spellcaster, not a warrior. Not the most searchable thing in the world. I honestly don't know how he'll find his way into that deck, or if he will, but there's other reasons for Melody of Awakening Dragon to get hyped there, and some generic Blue Eye support. Mythical Beast Master Cerebus is going pretty haywire. Speaking of the YCS, speaking of hype around pendulums, he is at a ridiculous price point of almost $30 with one seller under at $27.77. This card is a really good card. It works well, but I think it got put out to the point of 40 on eBay. Basically, it was just a re-volley of a buyout. Somebody with deep pockets went on all the $22 ones, and now it's just at this insane price point versus sneak peek price of $7. Can you remember the last time a card was $7 for a secret rare at sneak peek and it went up to $30? I can't. It's been so long that there's been that big of a raise from a low card. Like anticipated cards like Tour Guides that were 30 to 40 that went up to 120. That makes a bit more sense. Or Pot of Desires that was 40. But something starting from so low going this high, it's pretty insane. The Spectre Border still sitting around 20, and a card running out of quantity, Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, Only 19 prices and starting to rise back. Remember, you could get it at 55, 56 throughout the week. It's pretty quickly going up, and we see these are new listings under the $59.99 point, and it's not the most quantities on here either. 31 total results, and people are prepared for it to start selling out and listing very, very high. My advice, if you want to play Pendulums, you honestly should get it now, or you might not be getting it for a while if you can afford it. The deck seems to be the deck now. I underestimated it. I was like, my deck is dead from the ban list, and a lot of people seem to have thought the same thing. It's really good. It just turns out it seems to be the deck of the weekend and is, by the top cut results, most likely to win, but we'll see if something else can't overpower the deck. It's just insane what's happening with the price with this card, though. This floors me. This baffles me. It's so crazy. Next up, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is actually falling off. Remember, it was all the way up through 90 during the week, and we're seeing it fall towards 78. We have 78 here as well, $12 off the price. And I heard a lot of people saying, I feel like I actually don't need or have to play this format. Like, it's kind of an option or a choice. Ash Blossom's going to be Ash Blossom in terms of what it can do for you no matter what. But in terms of it being as pivotal this format as last, it's very clear that it is not as important from the last format into this format. You're able to do different things this format that don't involve everything being hand trap based, but you can still play decks that are heavily hand trap based as well. It's more of a choice than a force if you want to be playing meta this format, and the market is reflecting that very quickly throughout the weekend. Another reason the price went up, of course, is everybody going to Atlanta that felt like the need to have this card. Now the market kind of can cool off on it as well. So it's twofold, but a lot of people, such as we see even main decks without hand traps like Aaron McInnes's, showing that it is kind of a choice. The Mech Knights are actually very low quantity. DZEV told me that at the event, they're selling out very, very fast everywhere, and it seems that way online too. Apparently, a lot of the pros went with the Mech Knight invoked decks during the weekend. I don't know that it pierced the top cut in too many ways, shape, or form, but a lot of people seem to think it's very, very good and that they underestimated it. On Yu-Gi-Oh! Singles, Cerebus, like I said, sold out at 22, and so did the Mythical Beast deck base with that. But we have the Mech Knight deck base, and these are at 11 a piece, and then 5% off with DGZ Bod Z5. So if you and a teammate were looking to get this, or actually I think you alone, I think it's about $50 US, gets you free shipping from Yu-Gi-Oh! Singles. So if you were looking for a playset of each of these, if you're jumping into Mech Knights, code DGZ Bod Z5, and that will get you there. And I promise, They don't tell me to do this. I do this because it's the lowest on market. We see 12, and we see about 12 as well for both of these. So you're saving a decent chunk when you're going for a playset of each, and it takes about 4 to 5 days. Trickstars. Trickstars are going pretty haywire in terms of the downward spiral. Not really. They're just going off a little bit. At first I saw this price and I thought it was real, but they're not the deck realistically, as a lot of us thought it might be, including myself heading into the format. But the cheapest jump promo perhaps ever on release, $5. Everyone's just happy and fat off their Link Karibos, and they are just hawking this off knowing that not a lot of people are going to choose to play this card. And it's even cheaper on eBay at $4. This has to be the cheapest jump promo on a release that I have ever seen. And even with the low quantities, it's just sitting down there. There's 71 of them apparently on eBay. So eBay's way more flooded with this card, but it's cheap, guys. So if you wanted one without a subscription, and for whatever reason you didn't want Link Karibo, or your subscription ran out at Link Karibo, feel free to grab yourself one. It's very affordable. Dimensional Barrier went up after I featured it on the previous Market Watch, and I did want to point out there is a budget version that's not holo, but the Mega Pack version is also somewhat cheap. There's one at $4 before it's $5. It's $5 on eBay for the lowest as well, but there's still a very low quantity of them. And I had like people in group chats even saying, oh, I guess Dimensional Barrier is good this format. I was like, did you not watch the Market Watch or all the deck profiles this weekend? But there's actually a relatively low amount of the commons as well. So if you've been sleeping on your playset, you might want to go for commons as well right now. Or just go towards the secret. It's kind of that same effect we're going to see from the structure deck. You see how Cosmic Cyclone's still sitting at $4 for that common, and we have $2 for the Dimensional Barrier, but the jump between Cosmic Cyclone is only $2 upgrade for a secret from the Mega Pack. It just doesn't make sense to me that it's only a $2 gap, but the quantities, I guess, justify it. But Dimensional Barrier, it's kind of your chance to still get the common for cheap. You can still get in there and fight the Pendulum fight. You might even start to see this get main decked if Pendulums take over as badly as we might think they would from this top cut from Atlanta. And I hope Konami will have the actual ratios out later. But from what I've seen, out of like 16 or 17 known decks, 9 of them were Pendulum Magicians. So it's a pretty heavy hitter. But what do you guys think today is actually going to win the YCS? You all had a lot of answers yesterday after knowing more of the top cut and some of the players in there. Insane matchups like Noah Green versus Jesse Cotton. What do you guys think is actually going to win? Because it's looking like a really spicy YCS top cut. A lot of Texans in there. I'm super stoked to see what comes out on top.